Oh.
Snake! Whoa! Excuse me? Hi everyone, let's talk about a video game. I've been getting a few people here and there asking me if I was going to make any sort of video or series related to the recently released game Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. And I think that this is really all you're gonna get for the most part, but I did want to talk about it because I don't think I'm gonna be able to do a full series or a full stream series or anything like that on this game, but I have been playing it. I got it day one. I got it on the midnight release, and I have been greatly enjoying it. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit, just give my first impressions, because I'm about maybe 7-8 hours, like 7 to 10 hours in. I'm in that range, probably more around like the 7 mark. I'm sort of in an area where I'm kind of stuck a little bit. So anyway, yeah, so what is this game? So for those who don't know, this is the newest game from developers From Software, who are also very popularly known for the Dark Souls and the Bloodborne series, of course, and that's pretty much the same intro story you're going to get from everybody who talks about this game. But, I mean, you know, they're most popular titles for a reason. They're very good. My history with the series is I've never actually played the Dark Souls games, but I am familiar with Bloodborne. I have played Bloodborne. I never finished it, but I did get quite reasonably into it. I think I got at least about halfway through Bloodborne, and I really enjoyed my time with it. I've always wanted to finish it at some point. I just haven't made the time to do so yet, but I do like it a lot. Never played Dark Souls save for like a couple minutes here and there trying it out, but I was really interested in this new one because it looked like they were doing a lot of things differently. I actually really didn't know a whole lot about it going in. All I knew was some very brief pieces of footage from E3 last year, where I saw that there was a grappling hook involved, and that was pretty much all I knew about the game, honestly. I knew it was set in ancient Japan, and I knew there was a grappling hook involved. But, you know, just those facts alone, I was willing to give it a try, because I really like From Software, and I really like these Soulsborne style games. So I was all in from the beginning, and I knew I would at least appreciate it, if not enjoy it. So before I get into like my opinions and like my first experience running through the game, I'm gonna go ahead and just give like a basic run through of the synopsis. I'm gonna read this directly from the Sekiro website, because obviously I feel like they would say it a lot better than I would. So this is directly from SekiroTheGame.com. This says, in Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, you are the one-armed wolf, a disgraced and disfigured warrior rescued from the brink of death, bound to protect a young lord who is the descendant of an ancient bloodline. You become the target of many vicious enemies, including the dangerous Ashina clan. When the young lord is captured, nothing will stop you on a perilous quest to regain your honor, not even death itself. So yeah, essentially, you play a shinobi in sort of a fantastical, mythical rendition of ancient Japan, and you serve this young lord, this young master, and at the beginning of the game, they get captured, and you have to rescue them, and that is where your journey comes in. So, what was my experience with this game? So I started it. Again, like I said, not really knowing a whole lot about it. All I knew was, you know, the developer and the grappling hook and the setting. So I started it up, and I was actually, I was initially disappointed to realize that there wouldn't be a character customizer. And I legitimately had no idea whether or not this was going to be a set protagonist or a customizable character from the beginning. But then I opened it up and I saw that, you know, there was no customizer in sight, and I was a little disappointed in that, because I'm a sucker for character customization. I love that shit in games, and I've really enjoyed it in the previous From Software games. So I was a little bit disappointed, but that is not to say that I'm all that disappointed now, and I don't understand why they did it, because this game, right off the bat, you can tell is a lot more focused on really much more easily digestible story and character. One of the first things I noticed was that booting up the game, I actually kind of understood what was going on, which has never once been the case in a From Software game before. I mean, like I said, I've only really played Bloodborne, but from what I've seen of games like Dark Souls, it's not really, it gets a little bit hard to parse if you're not super invested in going out of your way to figure out what's happening. But I know in Bloodborne, like, you get a sense of the setting and you get like the really core basics of the kind of story or at least event that's going on in these worlds, but you never really get a whole lot of sense of depth unless you really look for it. That has not been the case so far in this game. It's definitely a little bit more ambiguous so far than other kind of AAA titles, but generally I find myself a lot more invested in this one so far. I've definitely been enjoying the characters more specifically. Like, I enjoy the NPCs, I enjoy playing as the main character. So it's just, yeah, so I get the creative inspiration behind making this a set main character, and while it's not necessarily what I prefer, I don't take it as like a mark against the game that I wasn't able to customize a protagonist. I just think it's something that you might want to know going in if you have like certain expectations based on their previous games. So that was something I didn't know, but I get it now. It works for me. It's really cool. So past that, I guess I just want to talk about like just kind of my general thoughts, because I'm not like, this isn't scripted. I'm very much going off script, and I'm just kind of looking at this footage that I recorded on my first experiences. So generally, I'd say the best way that I can describe this for people who have played the previous From Software games, the best way I can describe like the general feel of the game is that it has the speed of something like Bloodborne. It definitely, there's a lot of speed to it. It feels like a faster game than Bloodborne, because the thing about Sekiro is that you have a lot more mobility. Being a shinobi main character, they focus a lot more on the potential of your agility and the way you can sort of navigate the world with that in a very unique way from previous titles. And that's something that I really appreciate. That's actually been one of my favorite parts of the game so far, is just how you sort of navigate and get around the world. Like, I mean, obviously I mentioned the grappling hook before. That was a selling point to me initially, but after playing it, it remains one of the core reasons why this game is so satisfying just to navigate for me. And it's a lot more, it's actually a lot more sort of free and I guess like snappy than I was expecting it, because I didn't really have any expectations as to how the general From Software engine and the way that their games sort of like are constructed and feel to play, how that would correspond with the extra mobility. But I can say it definitely feels very satisfying to move around. The grappling hook, you can like chain together to different points, and that is always like such a blast, just zipping across the landscape, which is really gorgeous. I haven't touched on really the presentation of the game, but it is fantastic. It looks beautiful. I feel like it's probably the prettiest of the From Software games to me. Bloodborne definitely has like this very and I don't want to compare it too much to Bloodborne, but I feel like it is a little bit valuable in certain areas. So like the presentation of this game is very different than something like Bloodborne, because Bloodborne, you have like this very sort of dark, I want to say like, what would the time period, like Victorian, like really dark Victorian area. I don't know if I'm exactly pinning that right, but obviously the culture and the actual like geographical location of this game is different, but also just the general tone of it. It's not just location, and it's not just culture, and you know, location and culture, they do add a lot of unique identity to the way that this game feels in terms of presentation, but it is really a lot about tone. There is a lot more just like daylight in this game. There's a lot of daylight, and there's just like this sort of there's this really like extra mythical feel to it all. I don't really know exactly how to describe it, but it definitely feels like a lot brighter of a game so far. But it's weird because even in the story, there are certain elements to it that sort of have like that trademark gloominess that you get in like a Dark Souls or a Bloodborne game, but it never feels quite as like heavy. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and say I don't know exactly what I'm talking about all the time, but I hope I'm at least getting across a sense of what I mean here. There is a different tone to this game that I'm used to from the previous games of its kind, and that is really appreciated. Everything about this game has a really sort of uniqueness to it and a freshness to it, but it still has like that core identity that is so addictive and is like kind of captured so many people. It's wildly difficult. The game is hard. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm stuck, and I have been stuck for actual literal days now at certain points. I'm just in this area where like there are like 3 or 4 different diverging paths that I can follow, and all of them have like a boss battle at the end, and I keep on trying these different bosses, and I keep just like beating my head against these walls, and I'm not making progress yet. But that kind of thing is satisfying to me. I generally like difficult games. If it feels fair, and From Software is very good at making their difficulty feel fair. This game is quite I don't know. I want to say it's forgiving in a few ways. So there's this mechanic. There's a new resurrection mechanic in this game. So if you die, you can press the R1 button, and you have the opportunity to temporarily revive yourself. Well, not temporarily revive yourselves, but you can revive yourself once, and then if you die again within a short amount of time, or without really making much progress or taking a rest or anything like that, then you die for real, and you go back to your last rest point. But if you manage to survive your resurrection, you can carry on just like normal. But there is a penalty to the resurrection, so there is like that little bit of extra sense of generosity, but you also get some balance to it, and it's really cool. I started the game generally kind of abusing the resurrection mechanic a little bit more than I should, and I definitely paid the price for that, because what is the penalty for the resurrection? Generally, from what I have seen, not a lot of people know quite exactly how this mechanic works, but there is a sort of like pervasive penalty to the deaths and the resurrection deaths in this game called dragon rot. And dragon rot is this sickness that permeates the land and infects the NPCs that you run across. The intensity and the further spread of dragon rot is heightened based on how much you die or the circumstances in which you die. I believe that dragon rot is mainly caused and sustained by resurrecting yourself when you really shouldn't, and then dying soon after, because you just get a little bit stingy and you get a little bit too overconfident. That is the only time. Those are the only times I have really experienced dragon rot heightening. I've gotten to the point where I've had 2 NPCs in the world infected, and that only happened after I spent a lot of time being way too reckless with my resurrections and just with my playstyle in general. I'm not good at this game. I'm not good at all. But you do, at a certain point early in the game, figure out a way to cure all the NPCs of dragon rot, but the thing is, it is also an expendable resource. So it is this constant like push and pull, like you have to, it's like a risk and reward kind of thing. You have to really make sure you're being intentional and careful about that kind of thing. But generally this game is really hard. It is generous in certain ways, but it is definitely one of the harder experiences I've had with a game in recent memory. I mean, but that's just generally the whole MO of From Software. That's sort of their reputation, and it's definitely earned. But I will say so far, I believe I'm having a harder time with this game than I am used to, because the thing about this game is that it wants you to play so differently from their other games in a way that I am not used to. The thing about this game is that it will punish you for trying to skirt around the ways that they want you to play. And that sounds restrictive, but it's really not. And I want to see if I can find a way to explain this properly. But essentially, the play style that this game wants you to sort of adapt to and adopt is this really up and close, very parry heavy style. There is a dodge button like usual in From Software games, and actually there is no stamina bar, which is really interesting. Although the choice does not affect the difficulty whatsoever. It's actually a really good balancing tool that they've implemented to remove the stamina bar. You have an unlimited sprint and you do have unlimited dodges, but the thing is, the dodges are substantially less useful because, like I said, the fighting style is so different. So the game really wants you to play up close and personal. They want you to parry a lot of attacks, and they want you to really get used to telegraphing the moves of the enemies that you're fighting and countering them with very specific kinds of counters that you have to learn. And you will be punished for not at least making an attempt at that. It's forgiving in the beginning of the game, but as you get further, you sort of realize more and more that you need to sort of adapt to the way that the game is built. And like, you can, I guess, brute force your way through it, but you're gonna have probably a lot less of a good time trying to beat your head against a wall if you're just so stubborn about the fact that you want to play this like Bloodborne and you want to play this like Dark Souls. I don't really super know how Dark Souls tends to play in terms of combat, but this definitely has a generally slower combat style, whereas Bloodborne has speed both in movement and in combat. This game sort of has like a speed in movement and in traversal and in maneuvers, but has a very slow, methodical feel to its combat, which is a really interesting sort of marriage of the two styles, and it makes it feel really unique. It makes it feel like a different beast, and it really is, because this game also has a big emphasis on stealth. And I'm not the best at the stealth mechanics, I will say. I'm not the best at the game in general, but I definitely am getting used to the stealth side of this game, but it is very useful. You can take out enemies in essentially one hit if you sneak up behind them, which is definitely not... it's not a commonality in early From Software games normally. So that can be really useful, but you have to obviously you have to earn it. You have to make your way to those positions, and you have to position yourself within the world to be able to pull off that kind of stuff. And it's a big learning curve. This game does have a big learning curve, but so far I feel like it's worth it. And I'm not gonna go too in depth past this point, because this is more of just like an impressions thing that I want to do, just give people my general thoughts in the game. But I will say, so far, this is definitely fighting the spot as my favorite From Software game. Again, only really super played Bloodborne. I've tried Dark Souls, but it's essentially just fighting Bloodborne right now, because I love Bloodborne. It's one of my favorite PS4 games. But this is up there so far. This is really fighting. And I really feel like they've done a wonderful job with this game. If you are a fan of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or you feel like you might be, or you have like a passing interest, I would highly recommend you try this game. If you haven't tried Bloodborne, I actually would say maybe start with that first, because you can play a little bit more loosely with the combat in that game. Not too loosely, but it's a little bit less specific, although I guess it just depends on preference. If either one of these games seems like something you would take to more easily, I would recommend starting with that one. So if you feel like maybe learning specific rules of combat and learning to sort of a spot like move telegraphs and stuff would be an easier experience for, not an easier experience, but a more digestible experience for you, I would recommend starting with Sekiro. If you feel like the opposite of that in something like Bloodborne would be a little bit more your style, then I would definitely recommend starting with Bloodborne. But either way, I would play this game. I would play both of these games. Again, this isn't supposed to be a comparison video. I don't know why I'm fucking doing so much Bloodborne comparison. I just feel like it's natural for me. But either way, essentially, yes, I highly recommend Sekiro so far. The set pieces are worth it all. There's one set piece that I actually will probably show a clip of right here that I just lost my mind about. So here's a couple little highlights from that segment. Snake! Whoa! Whoa! Thanks for the unseen aid. I could have used some very visible aid at that point.
Time for my nap.
Give me pass. Whoa! 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 Oh no!
Oh.
Whoa! That's one of the bigger ones that I've run into so far, but you definitely I've definitely run into a few really sort of cool, really cool new enemies and new boss types and new set pieces to react to and like just have a good time, just like freaking out like, oh my god, I can't believe they put this in this game. This game is really good about that, and it definitely it's an interesting world. It is a world that you really want to explore and sort of like discover all the really weird cool shit that they do with it. So anyway, yeah, highly recommend Sekiro Shadows Die Twice so far. I might update my thoughts when I actually finish the game. I don't know how this new sort of impression style video is gonna work if I do these moving forward, but I definitely want to implement a way that I can talk about or like share at least some kind of form of my experiences with new games without having to commit myself to a full series or a full stream series, because those take a lot out of me. I do not have the capacity to do those for every new game that comes out, though I just so badly wish I did. So if you enjoy this style of video, please let me know, and I will consider doing these in the future. But yeah, I did have a few people ask me about my thoughts on this game and if I was going to play it, so I am playing it, really enjoying it, really liking it so far. It has made a wonderful impression on me, and I am actually probably about to go play it again right now once I finish recording and quickly putting this together. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Very quickly before I end the video, I would like to give a shout out to some of my patrons that have donated to me. These are people who have donated, I think $10 and up. A couple of them have donated over 20, but this is the $10 and up tier. If you donate at least $10 a month to my Patreon, you will get a video shout out in either a video on this channel or a video on my main channel. I'm still trying to work out an efficient way that I can get these benefits to people without too much compromise, because I've definitely been compromising the personal channel recently, so I haven't been able to do these shout outs, but I thought I would do them here just because this kind of video style definitely suits that a little better. So I want to quickly shout out Morgana Sawyer, Mary Hinson, Katie Vang, and Bibbs. Thank you so much for your support. Everyone who supports me on Patreon seriously is a saint. I cannot express how much it helps me out, and especially recently, I have been like kind of floored by the amount of people that have started to join the Patreon recently. It freaks me out, but in a really positive way. I cannot express how grateful I am for your generosity. Thank you so much for everything that you do to support me. And I hope that I can continue earning that moving forward. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want to see more. Bye.